So, what's up, guys? We got Lupinranger versus Pataranger, Episode 2, International Police Chase After Them. So, yeah. So, yeah. So, what? So, yeah. So, last episode of Lupinranger versus Power Ranger was a really good premiere. It was a solid premiere. It set up the characters, it set up the story, it set up with the villains. But anyway, this episode. So yeah. So also, side note, tomorrow I'll be starting another series called my Kamen Rider series, where I review each episode of Kamen Rider, and that I've obviously heard of. So tomorrow I'll be starting the first episode of Kamen Rider Double. But anyway, yeah. So I think my schedule will either be Vampire Diaries this and Double, or I'll just do these two, then do Vampire Diaries at another point. I have no idea what my schedule is going to be. But yeah, so anyway, let's review this episode. So this episode kind of starts off where the last episode left off, where the Lupinrangers are shocked to see that the International Global Police has the VS changes. And they're kind of like, oh yeah, we want to arrest you guys. So basically, yeah, fight time. They get into a fight. They also try to fight the Gangler. So, yeah, fight time. Boom, boom, like, yeah, it's a really cool fight scene. But yeah, so they're like, fight scene. So, yeah. So then, they decide to just bolt it out. They decide to leave. And, yeah, so then Umika's like, oh yeah, guys, maybe it's good, like, or maybe we should have or whatever Umika says about something about the Gold Police, and yeah, and yeah, and Kai's like, no, we have to look and question for ourselves. Remember the promise. So yeah, so then we get into a flashback. So then we see Kyrie walking through an alley where he flashbacks about fighting with his brother, and then next thing he knows, his brother is covered in ice. Then then we see Toma's fiance get covered in ice, and also Umika's best friend get iced. So that's why they're doing this. And Koger, I still don't know how to say his name. He's the butler. He's like, oh yeah, guys, using like the Lupin collection from Ansin Lupin will be able to give one of you guys the power to bring one of the people that you've lost back to life. So, yeah, so that's why they're doing this. It's a very interesting story. That's why I like this. That's why. This is my So this is my second watching of Lupinranger with Power Ranger, but first review, and yeah, and I just liked this. This made me click with the show. This made me click with the show immediately. That the Lupinrangers aren't just normal thieves. They're just people wanting to bring back what they lost, and it kind of gives them a sense of more like moral, because they want to bring back what they lost. They're not just normal thieves that take down the Gangler for like no apparent reason. They're doing it and they take back the collection for no apparent reason. They're doing it so they can bring back who they lost in the past, like Kai's brother, Umika's best friend, and Toma's fiance, which is pretty interesting because we saw a ring on her finger. So obviously, I'm going to connect that she's his fiance. So then Kyrie has a scene with Kaitro. Yeah, it's, Patrick. It's a total thing, like, I'm totally trying to remember names because it's hard to say his name. But he has a total, like, like, the dude's like, hey, I'll help you guys, so I hope the kids there. So yeah. So then when the Gangler attacks, again, the Lupinrangers are, right. Sorry. The Lupinrangers are, ready to stop him. They're always there first. But then the Power Rangers are like, wait, sorry. I'm having a coin. I don't know why. So, yeah. Oh, the coin still there. I guess I will have to be there for this episode. So, yeah. So, as I... So, sorry, I'm messing with my camera a lot. I started seeing my hair. So, yeah. So, anyway. So they get there first, but then the Power Rangers get the alert. They show up. But, yeah. But they're fighting when Kairi, remembers what Kaishiro said to the kids. Kaishiro said to the kids. And he's like, and Toma's just like, bro, we have to get the Lupin collection. Like, we can't just stop. But then he's like, yeah, we got what we need. We got what we need. You guys can finish the Gangler on your own. So yeah, so they go into a union mode, like they use Good Striker, I think his name is, to put themselves into Pataran Ego and Pataran Sango become like a unionized form, and they blow up the monster. But then they're just waiting at night for some reason, but they're like, oh, what? Like, what happened to them? So yeah, they're just waiting at night for some reason when one of Dong Rano's henchmen, she shows up and she's like, yeah, this is for the boss, and basically makes the guy giant. He's like, whoa. and they're like, but then the Lupins are like, hey, let's get into our robots. But then Good Striker's like, yeah, I gotta help the Lupinrangers. Yeah, Good Striker has no infiltrations. He's like, oh yeah, guys, I'm gonna help. Kai's like, bro, aren't you up here with the Lupins with the Power Rangers? But then he's like, no, I'm a free agent right now. And they're like, hey, let's form the Megazord. And they're like, Lupin Kaiser. So yeah, so they form Lupin Kaiser. Pretty cool name, by the way. And they use their special shot to blow up the monster. And that's when Tsukasa and Sakuya fall out of Kaishiro, and yeah, Kaishiro, and yeah, so then they're having, the Lupinrangers are, having a fun time, and they're like, oh yeah, Good Striker seems like a mouthful. Let's call him Goody. Funny name, Umika. But then they get a visit by the International Global Police. And they try to hide, Good Striker to, hide the base. And then the episode ends with Kairi saying, do they know? Great episode. The monster was great. The Megazord was great. Next episode on Lupinranger vs. Pataranger. Pat Striker. I'll say the name when I review the episode. But yeah. So, yeah. Good episode. Great characters. That's what I said. I just love this season. Because one, I just love the story between they don't make the Lupinrangers common thieves. They're not doing this because they're common thieves. They're doing this They're doing this for a reason. And that reason is to bring back the people they lost. And that is a very interesting premise for a power. I was a commentator, but that's next. That's tomorrow's review. But yeah, that is an interesting premise for a Sentai show. To have the main character who are trying to fight the other main characters. Because the main characters want to arrest the main characters, but the main characters want to bring back what they lost by fighting the Gangler. Because the Gangler got his powers from Asa and Lupin. He stole his collection, and that's why they have TIS. And that's a pretty good premise to a show. But anyway, yeah, so I'll see you next time for another episode of Lupinranger versus Pataranger. And I'll see you next time. And remember, stay Lupin. Which side are you on? The Lupins or the Patas? Of course you're on the Lupins. The Patas are just out of control angry people. Actually, the main guy is. But the Lupins have more of a great story coming. They have more of a great story in the season with the whole thing of about Umika and Toma and Kairi's, like, Toma and Kairi's loved ones, and Umika's best friend being iced and just killed, and then trying to bring them back. That's a pretty interesting story. Don't you agree? Yeah. See you next time, guys.